To the extent that one is united to his neighbor, so much more is he united with God. I will give you an example from the Fathers, so that you might understand this advice well. Imagine the image of a circle on the ground, made with a compass and thus having a central point, calling that point the middle of the circle. Concentrate your mind on what I am saying. Let us now suppose that this circle is the entire world and that God is at its center. Drawing straight lines from the circumference of the circle to its central point, each of these lines comes to represent the path or way of life of a man. Inasmuch as the saints are advancing towards the center, wishing to be near God, to the extent that they do so, they draw near both to God and to one another. As they approach God, they approach each other, and as they approach each other, they approach God. One can understand disunity, separation, in the same way. When people draw away from God and move back towards the outside of the circle, it is obvious that, in drawing away from God, they likewise draw away from one another, and as they draw from one another, so they distance themselves from God. Such then is the nature of love. To the extent that we find ourselves distant from Him and do not love God, to the same extent are we removed from one another. If, however, we love God, to the degree that we draw near to God out of our love for Him, to a comparable degree we are united to our neighbor by love, and to the extent that we are united with our neighbor, we are united with God. May God render us worthy to hear that which profits us spiritually and to apply it. For to the extent that we heed and strive to apply what we hear, so much more will God enlighten us and teach us His will.